You sit down to work, the task is open in front of you, you know what needs to get done, and then, 40 minutes later, you surface from somewhere else entirely. A Reddit thread, a YouTube rabbit hole, a notification you didn't even remember tapping, and the worst part isn't the lost time. The worst part is that you don't remember deciding to leave. Here's what I want to tell you right now, and before anything else, you are not broken. You don't have a short attention span, you don't lack discipline, but you have been solving the wrong problem. And until you understand what that problem actually is, every app blocker, every phone detox, every productivity system you try will keep failing you in exactly the same way. This is part one of a series based on one book, a book that, once you understand where it came from, hits very differently. We'll get to that in a moment. Think about the last time you got distracted mid-task. Not interrupted, distracted. Something from inside pulled you away. Maybe you were writing something and suddenly felt the urge to check your email. Maybe you were deep in a project and found yourself opening Instagram without remembering why. Maybe you sat down to study and ended up watching videos for an hour, and when you finally closed the tab, the guilt hit harder than the procrastination did. We've been told this is a willpower problem, a discipline problem, a technology problem. Delete the apps, set a timer, put your phone in another room, and sometimes those things help for a day, maybe a week. But the urge always comes back, because the urge was never about the phone. There's a concept that changes everything about how distraction works, and most people, even people who've read every productivity book, tried every system, have never actually sat with it. Distraction is an escape, not from boredom, not from your phone, from something uncomfortable happening inside you, right at the moment you reached for it. The person who figured this out has an unusual background for a focus researcher. His name is Nir Eyal, and before he wrote a book about escaping distraction, he spent years studying how to create it. His first book, Hooked, became a quiet handbook for the technology industry. It laid out the psychological mechanics behind habit-forming products, how apps are designed to create triggers, cravings, and reward loops that keep users returning compulsively. Variable rewards, emotional hooks, the engineering of need. A lot of the features that make it hard to put your phone down today were built, at least in part, using frameworks that Hooked helped popularize. Eyal eventually turned that lens on himself. He looked at the distraction around him and inside him, and asked a question that most productivity researchers hadn't thought to ask. What if the technology isn't the root cause? What if it's just the most convenient exit? The answer became indistractable, and this series walks through it, chapter by chapter. What Eyal found, buried under years of blaming apps and algorithms and attention spans, is this. Every distraction begins with an internal trigger, a feeling, an emotion, a physical sensation in your chest or your hands, the discomfort of a task that feels too hard, the anxiety of a project you might fail, the low-grade loneliness of sitting alone in a room, the boredom of something that asks for patience you don't have right now. You don't reach for your phone because the phone is interesting. You reach for it because something else feels unbearable. Eyal calls this the root cause of all distraction, the desire to escape discomfort, not the desire for pleasure, the desire to stop feeling something unpleasant. And once you see it everywhere. Think about the person who checks their email obsessively, not because they're waiting for something important, but because facing the bigger project on their list produces a quiet anxiety they don't want to name. Think about the student who spends 3 hours rereading notes they've already memorized, not because they need the information, but because actually sitting down to write the paper feels like stepping into a room where failure is possible. These aren't laziness, these are escapes. And here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of it. The phone isn't causing the escape. The escape was already happening. The phone is just the door. There's research that makes this impossible to ignore. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine, found that the average worker switches tasks every 3 minutes. not because of external interruptions, because of self-inflicted ones. Nearly half of all distraction is generated from the inside. We are not being hijacked by technology. We are using technology to hijack ourselves because something in the current task feels like too much. And once you leave a task, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to the same depth of focus. 23 minutes for a 3-minute escape. This is the math of distraction that nobody talks about. We don't lose 3 minutes when we reach for the phone. We lose 23. And we do it on average 20 times a day. But here's what stops people cold when they first hear this. If the problem is internal, if the trigger is an emotion, not a notification, then no external solution will ever hold. You can delete every app. You can leave your phone in a drawer. You can buy a flip phone from 2003. But the emotion that drove you to the phone in the first place, that's still there, waiting, and it will find another door. So what do? This is where most advice stops at the surface. Just notice your feelings before you pick up the phone. Okay. But that's like telling someone who's drowning to notice the water. What Isle found, and what a researcher named Dr. Jonathan Bricker confirmed through smoking cessation studies, is that the escape doesn't need to be fought, it needs to be surfed. Bricker's team studied people trying to quit smoking. They split them into 2 groups. One group used the standard approach, resist the craving. Tell yourself no, white-knuckle it. The other group was taught something different. When the urge to smoke appeared, they didn't fight it. They got curious about it. They named the sensation. They observed where they felt it in their body. They stayed with it just for 10 minutes without acting on it. The second group quit at double the rate of the first. Double. Not because willpower is useless, but because the urge, when you stop fighting it and start observing it, loses its grip. The wave crests and passes, and most of the time, 10 minutes later, the urge is gone. This is what Isle calls surfing the urge, and it applies directly to distraction. The next time you feel the pull toward your phone, toward a new tab, toward anything that isn't the task in front of you, don't fight it, notice it. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What does this feel like in my chest, in my hands, in my jaw? Name it. Anxiety, boredom, the specific dread of a task you might not do well. Wait 10 minutes, that's it. If you still want to escape after 10 minutes, you can, but you rarely will. Because you've already interrupted the automatic nature of the escape, and you've given the uncomfortable feeling somewhere to go that isn't your phone screen. If you want to go deeper on this, the full book is linked in the description. It's an affiliate link, which means it costs you nothing extra, but it does help keep this channel going. Worth it either way. Now, back to the harder part. But here's the part nobody wants to hear. Even if you master this, even if you get good at naming your triggers, surfing your urges, recognizing the escape before you take it, there's a second layer to the problem, and it's where most people, even the ones doing everything right, quietly fall apart. The escape doesn't just happen when work gets hard, it happens when work has no clear meaning. There's a particular kind of distraction that looks like laziness but isn't. Researchers who study workplace behavior have a term for it: pseudo-work. It's the behavior of someone who checks email 8 times an hour, attends every optional meeting, and stays busy all day, but never moves anything important forward. It's not procrastination, it's something subtler. When people feel powerless, when they feel like they have no real influence over their situation, no clear sense of what matters or why, they seek control wherever they can find it. And the fastest source of control, the one that's always available, is distraction. A phone that responds to your touch, a feed that reshapes itself around you, a scroll that gives you the sensation of movement when nothing in your real life is moving. The escape, in this case, isn't about the task being too hard, it's about the task feeling meaningless. And that is a problem that a 10-minute rule cannot fix on its own. This is why Isle's framework doesn't stop at managing discomfort. It goes one level deeper. He argues that the real solution to distraction isn't about blocking the escape, it's about building a life where the escape feels less necessary, which means you need to know what you actually value. not in the abstract. Specifically, what kind of work makes you feel like you're moving in the right direction? What kind of time, when you look back on a day, makes you feel like the day was worth something? Because here's what happens when that's unclear. The task is open in front of you, but some part of your nervous system doesn't know why. There's no felt sense of importance, no internal signal that this matters. And in that vacuum, that small, quiet absence of meaning, the escape floods in. The phone doesn't create that vacuum, it just fills it, and filling a vacuum is not the same as solving it. So let's make this concrete. 3 things from the ground up. First, the next time you feel the urge to escape, don't move. Put your hands flat on your desk. Name what you're feeling out loud or in writing. Not, I want to check my phone. Go one level underneath that. I'm anxious about whether this is good enough. This task feels pointless right now. I'm bored, and I don't want to admit it. Name the escape for what it is. That single act of labeling disrupts the automatic reach. The escape is most powerful when it's invisible. Once you see it clearly, it loses most of its speed. Second, use the 10-minute rule. Tell yourself you can escape just in 10 minutes. Set a timer if you need to, and in those 10 minutes, stay with the sensation instead of running from it. Most of the time, the urge passes on its own. Because urges are waves, they crest and fall. You just have to stop swimming toward the shore every time one arrives. Third, ask a harder question at the start of each work session. Not what do I need to do today? Ask, why does this matter? Find the connection, even a thin one, between the task in front of you and something you actually care about. If you can't find one, that's important information. That might be the real problem, not your focus, not your phone. The escape was never about the phone. It was always about what you were escaping from. Here's what we covered today. The distraction wasn't the app. It was the internal trigger, the feeling you were trying not to feel, that existed before you ever picked up the phone. Willpower fails because it fights the symptom. Surfing the urge works because it addresses the source, staying with the discomfort until it passes. The same way smokers in Bricker's study learn to do, quitting at double the rate. And the deepest layer, when your work lacks clear meaning, the escape becomes structurally necessary. No technique survives that vacuum. Naming the why isn't motivational advice, it's a prerequisite. So here's what changes everything. Stop treating your phone as the enemy and start treating the escape as data. Every time you feel the pull, something true is trying to reach you. A task that feels too risky, a direction that doesn't feel like yours, an emotion with nowhere else to go. Listen to it, name it, wait 10 minutes, do that consistently, and I promise you, the focus you've been chasing will start to feel less like discipline and more like something that was always available to you. You just needed to stop running long enough to find it. We're not done. This is part 1 of the Indistractable series. The next video covers what to actually do with your time once you stop escaping it. How to build a schedule that works with how you actually feel, not how you wish you did. It answers the question this one deliberately left open. If you don't want to miss it, you know what to do.